Hey there, this is Sarah with Ebb and Flow Yoga Teacher Training. I just wanted to talk today about connecting Vinyasa sequence. So a Vinyasa class is one that is linked poses, one pose from the next, right? And the term Vinyasa actually means to place in a special way. So the idea is from the tradition of Vinyasa, coming from the Ashtanga tradition in Mysore, India, is that we move from one posture to the next posture to the next posture, and they are placed very specifically. When we add a connecting vinyasa into what we now call any kind of vinyasa or flow class, the vinyasa, the connecting vinyasa, or if somebody asks you in class to take a vinyasa, hopefully after they've already taught you how to do it, that just simply means it's the space and link, the connector from one sequence to the next sequence. And it can be from right or left side, or it can actually be from, as you build kramas, from simplest to complex as you build through each sequence. That'll make a little bit more sense when you get a chance to look at your sequence builder and your krama building sheet as well. So I want to go through some of my favorite vinyasa connectors, and then also obviously we'll also go through the traditional connecting vinyasa, which is moving through chaturanga into upward facing dog and finding our way to downward facing dog. So all of these are going to take place on the mat, starting in a downward facing dog. That's probably where we'll start. And what I'd like you to make sure is that you're really well warmed up before you attempt any of these postures. I'm pretty warmed up. I do still have a shoulder injury, so my upward facing dog is going to look a little funny today, but I want to make sure that I at least still demonstrate it specifically so that you can see the full variation of it. So we'll meet on the mat. All right, so the traditional, we'll start with the non-traditional variations, which have actually been ones that we can utilize and take for our students that don't have as much experience in Vinyasa. So using cobra instead of upward facing dog is gonna be great for every single student in the room, whether they're advanced or not, okay? So from here, what I want you to go ahead and do is we'll go ahead and take downward facing dog. Just go ahead and take a moment, stretch it out, lengthen out the legs, lengthen out the spine. I'm gonna move with bent knees today, just really getting into my back. So from here, we're gonna just move through a cobra variation as we warm up. Inhale, round the spine forward, gaze to the top of the mat. You can set the knees down if you want to. This first round we will. Exhale and lower, the elbows come back towards the hips. Now the traditional variation is like uncurl my toes, forehead to the floor. Inhale, lift and lengthen through the crown of the head. Let the back side of the heart lift you first, and then exhale, lower down. Let's do a couple more just so you can feel it and warm up the back. Inhale, lift the heart. Notice I'm only lifting as high as the hands will take when I'm not using my hands, so it's the back strength. To get out of the posture, I can do it one of two ways. We'll do the easier, simpler modification first. Knees press into the earth, belly button in. As you take an exhale, push it back. Child's pose right there. Okay, so that's one variation. I'm going to take you through several cobra variations and then a sphinx pose variation, and then we'll finally do our upward facing dog variation. So the connecting vinyasa here. Inhale, roll forward to that high plank. You can take the knees down if you want. Exhale, lower. Inhale, this can be a larger cobra. Notice the elbows are still bent. I'm in proper form. Lift through the heart. Exhale and lower down. Curl the toes under. I can use the knees and come back through child. I can use the knees and lift a plank, or I can just lift right up into plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay? Another variation that I really love to use as you come forward, exhale, lower. I really love walking the hands off the mat with those toes uncurled, coming onto tented fingertips here. That really expands the chest, opens the heart, opens the back and shoulders. As we inhale, back side of the heart leads, hooded cobra. Exhale. Good. Bring the hands back underneath you. Flip those toes again. Belly in, pubic bone down. Inhale, rise. Exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, that traditional variation coming up very soon. One more version that I really like for cobra right here. Knees come down, hips back to the heels, stretch the spine out, and then we slowly slither on the belly, lift the heart, uncurl the toes, we're in that cobra. Exhale down, find that plank again, nice and strong. Exhale, downward facing dog, okay? Another one I love Non-traditional, walking the hands forward, taking that Anahatasana, heart melting pose, forehead down, up onto a block, or chin down, open and expand. Inhale, roll through the shoulders, lift up through the heart, toes can be uncurled or curled, and we're in that Sphinx pose. Exhale, lower down, slide the hands back, you come back up out of the posture, just as we did before, pressing it back, okay? Finally, that upward facing dog variation. This one we know, we take our chaturanga, inhale, pull over the toes, lift the heart, coil into the belly, and press over the feet again, okay? So we've got lots of variations. What you might notice is that all the variations, I got unzipped there, all the variations are gonna take you through a pose and a counter pose, right? So we're resetting on our mat. We are going from a back bend to a forward bend. That back bend, whether it's cobra or upward facing dog or heart melting pose, into downward facing dog. And so there's building a little bit of strength through chaturanga, whether we pause there in that upward facing dog variation, or we pass through it when we come all the way down to the ground in cobra. So what you need to do when you're building your sequence is decide which one's gonna serve your flow the most. It doesn't even necessarily have to be all the way on the ground. You can have a full standing class and have your reset button, as we like to call it, being a forward bend to a half forward lift. Not as traditional, but I'd love to see what you can come up with. When you work through your sequence builder, just pay attention. We have it listed at the top of what your connecting vinyasa will be. You can also write if it's gonna vary at all. Maybe it starts simple and it gets more complex as you move through it. And so as you move from your warm-up into your progression 1 sequence, your progression 2 sequence that oftentimes houses your peak vinyasa, and then your regressive sequence or cool down, that's gonna be the same vinyasa or a variation of it all the way through. So I hope that helps just a little bit, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Have a wonderful, wonderful class building, and namaste.